It's often cited because the game did well in Japan, it came over to the United States, or it came over to the Americas. And we're going to go into that because that ends up being a myth here. There was definitely a movement with this project to give everything a fresh new look. The man we found was Yusuke Kozaki, who was involved with No More Heroes, which was a pretty well-received game overseas. That was actually part of the reason we hired him. We were planning to release Awakening outside Japan from the start. That's what's so interesting about this. It wasn't even a question of whether the game was actually going to come over. Now, obviously the game totally bombed in Japan. Nintendo would probably gate that thing and say, okay, we're not gonna move on. But they brought on Kozaki for the express purpose of his art style was successful in the West or overseas. So we'll bring on Kozaki because we know it's in our plans to bring this over outside of Japan. And that's interesting because that doesn't usually fit into the type of narrative we hear about Awakening. They were trying to make this game marketable and appealing to overseas players from the start. This is another interesting tidbit here. This was Kozaki-san's original idea for the game package. Nintendo thought it wasn't all that different from what they had before previous Fire Emblem games. They wanted something more like a group portrait, so it went through this process before reaching its final form. I mean, look at that cover, dude. Like, this turned into key art anyway, because I know this is like, there's official art of this, but that was originally supposed to be the cover, not to this group portrait that eventually on the left here. That's eventually what we got on the box. But yeah, it's just interesting to see and hear about this process.